Hi everybody, happy Thursday. Sorry I didn't make a video yesterday. Not that anyone's really wondering, but I had dental work and I was feeling a little sore and just didn't really feel like it. So it's supposed to be fun, so it's going to stay fun. Okay, so today we are using my school Bible, New Oxford Annotated Bible, because I actually really like this translation rather than some of the other ones I read. Okay, we're just going to dive right in. Psalm 17, a prayer of David. Hear a just cause, O Lord, attend to my cry. Give ear to my prayer from lips free of deceit. From you let my vindication come. Let your eyes see the right. If you try my heart, if you visit me by night, if you test me, you'll find no wickedness in me. My mouth does not transgress. As for what others do by the word of your lips, I have avoided the ways of the violent. My steps have held fast to your paths. My feet have not slipped. I call upon you, for you will answer me, O God. Incline your ear to me, hear my words. Wondrously show your steadfast love, O Savior of those who seek refuge from their adversaries at your right hand. Guard me as the apple of the eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. From the wicked who despoil me, my deadly enemies who surround me. They close their hearts to pity. With their mouths they speak arrogantly. They track me down. Now they surround me. They set their eyes to cast me to the ground. They are like a lion eager to tear, like a young lion lurking in ambush. Rise up, O Lord, confront them, overthrow them. By your sword, deliver my life from the wicked, from mortals by your hand, O Lord, from mortals whose portion in life is in this world. May their bellies be filled with what you have stored up for them. May their children have more than enough. May they leave something over to their little ones. As for me, I shall behold your face in righteousness. I shall awake. When I awake, I shall be satisfied, beholding your likeness. Okay. This is a beautiful psalm. I think what is occurring to me as the theme of this, I know a couple of days ago we talked about those kind of stages of consciousness, especially in your spiritual life when you're moving from that honeymoon stage into like second stage consciousness around intimacy, whether that be with God or with others. But the what seems to me to be the theme of this is when you aren't feeling that connection, like when you aren't feeling that divine light and it kind of retracts a little bit, how we start to do that bargaining stage, like almost with grief, where you're like, but I've done all the things, like I did everything right. And yeah, you can test me, you'll find no wickedness. My mouth does not transgress. And so it's kind of like when something's going on and we don't really understand what happened or why, and there's, chaos or confusion or death or suffering, and we're not really sure why, what happened. And so we start to like almost like do inventory. If you're somebody who has a spiritual life and has those ideas tied together, right? That like your suffering would be caused by something. And to be fair, in some cases that's true. And in some cases it's not true. And so I think that's actually more of like a new age idea or like a pagan idea than actually a Christian idea, which is like A plus B equals C. And, you see Jesus talking about this throughout the New Testament, where it's like when he's discussing, when somebody's asking him like, well, what sin did this person commit that this is what's happening to them? I think it's the parable of the pool of Bethesda, when they're asking like, well, his parents must have done something, then this is his punishment. And Jesus is like, no, that's not how this works. And so I think to actually, to look at how human this is, right? When something's going on and you start to want to beg, borrow, and steal to fix it. And you're like, you're feeling that presence or that blessing or that goodness retracting from you, and you're not able to call on God or like, to change things in the moment. And so, the psalmist right here is feeling the world encroaching on them, and they're like looking up at the sky like, hey, I've done everything right, like what gives? And so I think this is one of those moments that is a real great eye opener for people. This is where people either leave their faith or they deepen their faith, is right here. And so you can hear that the psalmist is very clearly deepening their faith, because not only are they able to cry out, they're crying out to the Lord for help, but they're also wishing blessings upon their enemies. May their bellies be filled with what you have stored up for them. May their children have more than enough. I mean, this is very I mean, this is incredible, generous language for somebody who's in the thick of something. And then the psalm ends, "As for me, I shall behold your face in righteousness. When I wake, I shall be satisfied, beholding your likeness." So this is an amazing end point, because a lot of the earlier psalms in book one of the psalms, you can see, I think we talked about this the other day a little bit briefly too, that there's little edits where the end of the psalm they'll stick something in to make it particularly applicable to Zion or to Israel or to Jerusalem. But this is not saying that. This psalm is saying, like, it's the psalmist is looking around, bargaining and grieving and like not understanding what's happening, and then calling upon the Lord for help, praying over their enemies, and then just saying, you know what, whatever's going to happen, I'm going to be satisfied. And that's third stage consciousness, is like, there's going to be suffering, there's going to be goodness, and I'm going to marry these two things inside my relationship with God and inside my relationship with others, which is, so this includes the imperfection of others and the disappointment of what's going on with God, and just saying, I'm going to be satisfied with what is. So I would say there's like an enormous amount of richness in this psalm, even just from a poetic standpoint right here. If you try my heart, if you visit me by night, if you test me, you'll find no wickedness in me. I think like this is just such an interesting idea, right? That like, and it's specific. If you visit me by night, if you're testing my heart. I mean, how many people haven't felt like that when they're going through something and they're looking around and they're like, I've done a good job, Because I think there's a lot of psalms that are asking that, like, am I doing enough? Did I do enough? And in this psalm, it's saying, oh, but I did so good. Why is this happening? And so this is a very different kind of, but also incredibly human posture, which is one that comes out of, when you're trying really hard to live justly, and things are still going wrong, right? That's that Ecclesiastes wisdom versus the Proverbs wisdom. Well, this is not black and white. This person is going through something that's not black and white, and they're seeing people kind of come around them. It was interesting because when I was with the rabbis a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about this idea of enemies being anything that is, I have the notes right here, anything that constricts you or hems you in, anything that can limit your well-being. And I thought that was really fascinating, because I think when we think enemies, we think directly of another person. But it's interesting to think about that definition potentially being much wider. And so anything that's constricting, the freedom and liberation of your life and the fullness of your living is an enemy. And how wild that could, if you were to start reading the Psalms with that idea, like, okay, so that these are like anything that's against me, even me when I'm against me, is an enemy of my spirit. So anyway, that's all that I've got. I'm gonna go finish the Catholic Knives Out movie for the second time because I love it. So anyway, that's all I got. Happy Thursday. Bye.